Auntie, please. Auntie, I'm sorry. Auntie, please don't do this to me. Auntie, I will do anything you wish, but please, Auntie, don't throw me out. Is it because my mom is no longer living? Is that why you're treating me this way? What have I ever done to deserve all this unwarranted treatment from a woman who is supposed to treat me like her own daughter? Will you shut up that dirty mouth? She barked, her eyes blazing with fury. Can't you recognize your mother when you see her? Don't ever refer to me as one, because I can never be a mother to a miserable girl like you. Stand up now. Take your rags of clothes and leave this house immediately before I do something unimaginable. Henceforth, this house belongs to me and my daughter, so get lost and never get found. I don't ever want to set my eyes on you again. Those were the words of my wicked stepmother, a woman who saw me as nothing but a threat. My name is Amara, and I was only 18 when my life crumbled before me. I had lived in the big white house on Hillview Crescent, a quiet neighborhood in Enugu, since I was born. My father, Mr. Okedi, was a kind and respected businessman. He was my world, the only parent I had after my mother passed away when I was barely 3 years. For years, it was just the two of us. He made sure I lacked nothing. I attended the best school, wore neat uniforms, and grew up surrounded by warmth and laughter. Everything changed the day he remarried a woman named Miss Juliana. At first, she pretended to be kind, smiling sweetly, calling me my dear, and bringing me gifts. But deep down, there was something cold in her eyes, something I couldn't quite explain. And when her daughter Vanessa moved in with us, the house I once called home began to feel like a prison. Vanessa was my age, bold, loud, and arrogant. She made it her mission to remind me every day that her mother was now the real queen of the house. My father tried to keep peace between us, but everything went downhill after he suddenly fell sick. It started with headache, then sleepless nights, then strange chest pains. I remember how he tried to hide his weaknesses from me, forcing a smile even when he was clearly in pain. But one morning, I woke up and found the house quiet, too quiet. By the time I reached his room, the doctor was already there, shaking his head. That was the day that my father left this world, and the day my suffering truly began. From that day forward, my life took a painful turn. It was on a quiet Sunday afternoon that everything began to change. The sun hung lazily in the sky, and the air smelled of dust and roasted corn from nearby roadside store. Mother Victoria and Linda had gone for a family meeting in the next village, leaving me behind with a long list of chores. As I bent over the backyard washing line, scrubbing Linda's stained dresses, I heard a soft knock on the front gate. It was unusual. We rarely have visitors, and even if we did, they never came asking for me. Wiping my wet hands on my wrapper, I hurried to the gate and opened it slightly. Standing there was an elderly man, tall and gentle looking, with grey hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple white kaftan and carried a small walking stick. "My daughter," he said, smiling warmly. "Please, is this the house of late Chief Okonkwo?" I nodded nervously. "Yes, sir." That was my father. He looked at me for a moment, his eyes softening. "Ah, you must be Amara." I was surprised. "You know my name?" "Yes," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "Your father once helped me many years ago. I came all the way from Nsukka to pay respect. I have been praying to see his family." He handed me a small brown envelope. "Please take this. It's not much, but I want to honor his memory." I hesitated. "Thank you, sir, but I'm not sure my stepmother..." Before I could finish, he gently placed his hand on my shoulder. "Child, kindness is never lost. Even when the world turns it back on you, heaven is watching. Tell your father's spirit that an old friend remembers him." And just like that, he turned and walked away, his figure slowly disappearing down the dusty road. When I opened the envelope later, I gasped. Inside were Crip's 1,000 naira notes and a folded letter. The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the words made my heart tremble. Amara, your tears have reached the heaven. Help is coming sooner than you think. I didn't understand what it meant, but something about that message made my heart flutter with hope for the first time in many years. I hid the envelope carefully beneath the mat in my room. That night, as I lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't sleep. The old man's words echoed in my mind. Kindness is never lost. Heaven is watching. I didn't know who he truly was or how he knew me, but something told me that my life was about to change forever. The next morning, I woke up early than usual to finish my house chores. I didn't want to give Madam Victoria any reason to shout or throw something at me again. The house was still quiet when I swept the compound, my heart secretly replaying the old man's words from the day before. But my peace didn't last long. By mid-morning, Madam Victoria's angry voice echoed through the compound like thunder. Amara, Amara, where is that useless girl? I froze, the bro slipping from my hand. I ran towards the living room, my heart pounding. She stood in the middle of the room, holding the brown envelope I had hidden under my mat. The mat had flipped over and my few belongings were scattered on the floor. Where did you get this? She demanded, waving the letter in my face. I don't know what you mean, ma, I stammered. Don't lie to me, she snapped. Who gave you this? Are you now stealing from people in this neighborhood? You want to bring shade to my house? Tears welled up in my eyes. No, ma, I said. I swear I didn't steal it. An old man came yesterday. He said he was father's friend. He only... Shut up your mouth, she barked, slapping me across the face. The stink burned, but the humiliation hurt even more. Lena stood by the door smirking. Mommy, maybe she's planning to run away. That's why she hid money. Madam Victoria's eyes narrowed. Oh, I see. So that's your plan, to take money and disappear. Never. As long as I live, you will remain here and learn what real suffering means. She tore the letter in half before my eyes, the sand ripping through my mind. No, please, ma, don't do that, I cried, trying to reach out, but she shoved me backward. You think you can outsmart me, eh? You see? Whatever secret you are hiding dies with you in this house. She stuffed the torn pieces into the fire burning in the kitchen. The flames swallowed them instantly, leaving behind only ashes. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sneaked into the kitchen and stared at the ashes in silence. My chest ached. The words of the letter, help is coming, replayed in my mind like a whisper I couldn't forget. Even though the letter was gone, something deep inside me refused to die with it. I didn't know how or when, but I felt certain that heaven had already set something in motion and no amount of cruelty could stop it. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Life in Madame Victoria's house became heavier than ever. Every morning I carried large tray of fruits to the local market to sell, walking under the scorching sun until my feet burned. One particular afternoon, I was standing by the store, dizzy and weak from hunger. I hadn't eaten all day because Linda had poured away my breakfast out of spite. Still, I forced a smile as customers passed by, hoping to say enough to avoid another beating. Then I heard a gentle voice behind me. My dear, are you alright? I turned around and saw a woman in her late 40s, dressed elegantly but with a warmth that made her seem approachable. She had kind eyes that seemed to notice everything, even the pain I tried to hide. Yes, ma, I'm fine, I replied quickly, lowering my head. She studied me for a moment. You don't look fine. You look hungry and tired. When was the last time you ate? I didn't know how to answer. My throat tightened, and before I could stop myself, tears began to roll down my cheek. The woman stepped closer and hid my hand gently. Don't be afraid. What's your name? Amara, I whispered. Beautiful name, she said softly. My name is Miss Clara. She looked around, then bought every single fruit on my tray, paying more than double the price. I stood there speechless. Take this, she said, handing me a small card. If you ever need help, real help, come to this address. Don't be afraid to show up. I looked at the card. It had her name, a phone number, and an address in the city. My heart swelled with gratitude. Thank you, ma. God bless you. She smiled. He already has, my dear. Sometimes we just need to see it. Before I could say another word, she walked away into the busy market crowd, leaving behind a faint scent of jasmine and the feeling that I had just encountered an angel in human form. As I hid the card close to my chest, a strange peace filled me, something I hadn't felt in years. For the first time since my father's death, hope felt real again. But I didn't know that this small act of kindness would soon provoke the greatest storm yet, and that Mother Victoria would stop at nothing to destroy even that last piece of hope I had found. It happened just 2 days later. I had hidden Mrs. Clara's card inside an old Bible that once belonged to my father. That Bible was my only treasure, the one thing Madam Victoria hadn't touched because she said it reminded her of the man she wished she had never married. That afternoon, while I was outside washing clothes, she stormed into my small room shouting my name. "Amara, what is this nonsense I found again?" I froze. The sound of her voice told me something terrible had happened. I ran inside, and there she stood, waving the Bible in one hand and the small white card in the other. "So this is what you have been hiding from me," she screamed. "After everything I've done for you, you still have the guts to plan behind my back. Who is this woman? Is this your new mother now?" "No, ma, please. It's not what you think," I cried, falling to my knees. "She was just a kind woman at the market who helped me. She gave me the card because..." "Because what?" she interrupted harshly. "Because you have been spreading lies about me to strangers? You want to disgrace me in this community, you ungrateful witch." Her slap came so fast that I didn't see it coming. The card flew from her hand and landed on the floor. Before I could reach out for it, she snatched it up and tore it into tiny pieces, scattering them like ashes in the air. "Now let's see who will save you," she yelled, and her eyes blazing with hatred. Linda appeared at the doorway, smirking. "Mommy, maybe she should just leave since she tried or tired of living here." Madam Victoria's face hardened. "You are right. I've had enough of her. Pack your rags, Amara, and leave this house right now." "Please, ma," I sobbed. "Where will I go? It's late. Please, I have nowhere else to stay." "Then sleep under the bridge for all I care," she hissed, "as long as it's not under my roof." She grabbed my small bag, threw my few clothes into it, and pushed me towards the door. "Mommy, please. Please don't do this," I cried, clinging to her legs. She shoved me so hard that I fell to the ground outside. "Get out, Amara. Don't ever come back." The door slammed behind me, leaving me standing in dark, trembling and barefooted. The cold wind called through my thin dress as I looked around the empty street. For a long moment, I couldn't move. Everything I had, even the little hope Miss Clara gave me, was gone. But then, in the distance, I saw the faint lights of the market and heard familiar voices. Somewhere deep inside, something whispered, "Don't give up yet." I picked up my torn bag, wiped my tears, and began to walk. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stop, because if I stopped, I would break completely. That night, destiny began to move again, silently but surely. The night I was thrown out of Madam Victoria's house was the longest and coldest night of my life. The streets were almost empty, except for a few hawkers packing up their goods and some drunk men staggering home. I clutched my small bag tightly and walked aimlessly, my eyes blurred with tears. Every corner of the neighborhood felt strange, as if I had never lived there before. I sat down beside the clothes shop, hugging my knees to my chest. The cold air beat into my skin and my stomach rumbled from hunger. I thought about my father, how safe I used to feel whenever he was around. The memory was too heavy to bear, and I cried quietly into the night. At some point, I drifted into a half sleep, only to be awakened by a gentle tap on my shoulder. "My dear, are you okay?" a soft voice asked. I looked up, saw a young woman standing over me. She wore a long wrapper and carried a tray of unsowed vegetables. Her face was kind, her eyes full of concern. "Please don't be afraid," she said. "My name is Zainab. Why are you out here alone at this hour?" I swallowed hard, my voice shaky. My stepmother threw me out." Zainab frowned, settling down her tray. "Ah, my dear, where will you go now?" I shook my head slowly, unable to speak as tears streamed down my cheeks. Without another word, Sena reached out to my hands. Come with me. You can't stay here. My house is small, but it's warm. You will be safe for tonight. Something about her voice made me trust her instantly. I took her hands and she helped me stand. As she walked through the dimly light streets, she asked gently, "What is your name?" "Amara," I replied weakly. "Amara," she repeated softly. "Such a beautiful name. Don't worry, Amara. God hasn't forgotten you." When we arrived at her place, a small room apartment at the edge of the market, she gave me food and a wrapper to cover myself. For the first time in months, I felt genuine kindness. Before sleeping, I looked at her and asked, "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." She smiled friendly. "Because someone once helped me too when I had nowhere to go. I used to work as a housemaid for a wicked woman. I know exactly how it feels to be in your shoes." Her words sank deep into my heart. That night, as I laid on the mat beside hers, I whispered a prayer I hadn't said in a long time. "God, thank you for sending me someone." Little did I know, that small act of mercy, enough kindness, would become the bridge that led me to my destiny. The days that followed were quiet but peaceful. For the first time in years, I woke up without being shouted at. Zainab's home was small, just one room with a leaking roof, but it was filled with something I hadn't felt in so long: love. Every morning we went to the market together. I helped her sell vegetables and learned how to talk to customers. Sometimes she would smile at me and say, "You see, Amara, life can be hard, but it's not hopeless. You just need to keep moving, no matter how slowly." Her words became my daily encouragement. After a few weeks, Zainab told me she had heard of a family looking for a young housekeeper in the city. They paid well, she said, and from what I hear, they treat people fairly. "You are smart, Amara. You deserve a chance to start over." At first, I was scared. What if they are like Madame Victoria? I asked softly. Zainab smiled. "Not everyone is cruel. Sometimes God hides your blessing in strange places. Don't be afraid." With her help, I packed my few belongings and took a small bus into the city. My heart raced the whole way. I prayed silently that whoever I was going to meet would have mercy on me. When I arrived at the large white gate of the mansion, I was amazed. It was the kind of house I used to live in before my father died. I hesitated at the entrance until a tall young man in his late 20s opened the gate himself. He was dressed simply, but there was confidence and kindness in his eyes. "Good afternoon, sir," I said shyly. "I came about a housekeeper job." He smiled warmly. "You must be Amara. Come in. My name is Dami." Something about his tone made me relax instantly. He wasn't arrogant or harsh like other rich people I had met. Inside the house was quiet and well kept. He led me to the kitchen and asked me a few questions. Then he said, "You can start tomorrow. You will live here." My mother preferred her workers to be part of the home. I almost burst into tears. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." He nodded gently. "Don't thank me yet. Just do your best and everything will fall into place." That night, I lay on the soft bed in the small guest room they gave to me, staring at the ceiling. My heart was full. From sleeping on cold streets to lying on a clean mattress, only God could have done that. I didn't know it yet, but this new job was more than just an opportunity. It was the beginning of a divine setup, one that would soon uncover secrets buried for years and restore everything that had been stolen from me. Walking in Mr. Dami's home felt like stepping into a different world. The people there treated me with respect, something I hadn't known in years. Dami's mother was kind but often traveled, leaving Dami to manage the house. He was gentle, disciplined, and very observant, the kind of man who noticed small things others overlooked. At first, I tried to keep to myself, but Dami's kindness slowly broke down the walls I had built around my heart. One afternoon, while I was cleaning the sitting room, he walked in quietly and said, "Amara, you seem lost in your thoughts these days. Are you alright?" I hesitated. "I'm fine, sir." He tilted his head slightly. "You don't sound fine." That gentle concern in his voice did something to me. Before I knew it, tears filled my eyes. "I'm sorry," I whispered, trying to hide my face. "I didn't mean to cry." "Hey," he said softly, handing me a handkerchief. "You don't have to apologize for being human. If something is wrong, you can talk to me." I don't know what gave me the courage, but that day I told him everything. How my father had died suddenly, how my stepmother turned against me, how I was thrown out with nothing but a bag of old clothes. I spoke through tears, reliving every painful memory. When I finished, Dami sat in silence for a while, deep in thought. Then he asked, "You said your father's name was Chief Obinna Okafor?" "Yes, sir." He looked startled. "Wait, Chief Okafor of the Okafor Holding Group?" I nodded slowly, surprised. "You know him?" He leaned back, clearly shaken. "I met him once at a business conference with my late father. He was a respected man. Everyone admired his honesty. But I remember when he died, there were rumors about his company being taken over too quickly. Many people said something wasn't right." My heart began to race. "What do you mean?" He looked at me with calm determination. "It means your father's death and the loss of everything might not have been an accident. I think someone tampered with his estate." I froze, unable to breathe. Dami continued, "If you will let me, I will want to help you find out the truth. I have friends who can access legal records and properties documents. Maybe, just maybe, your inheritance didn't disappear. It was stolen." His words echoed in my ears for the first time. Someone believed my story. Tears of relief rolled down my cheeks as I whispered, "Thank you, sir. Thank you for believing me. Thank you so much." He smiled gently. "Don't thank me yet. Let's uncover the truth first." That night, Dami began making calls and pulling records. He spent hours going through files and digital archives. Each new discovery revealed how deeply my stepmother has twisted everything to her favor. And then one evening, he came into the room where I was staying, holding a file, and said, "Amara, I think we found something." My hands trembled as he placed the file in front of me. On the cover were the words, "Last Will and Testament of Chief Obinna Okafor." I stared at it. My heart beat loud in my ears. The truth was finally rising to the surface, and it was about to change everything. The next morning, Dami called me into his study. His desk was covered with papers, official seals, and documents printed from the court's registry. His eyes were serious but full of quiet excitement. "Amara," he said slowly, "I went through every file and you were right all along. Your stepmother and her daughter forged documents after your father's death. They used a fake lawyer to transfer all the assets in their names." My mouth fell open in shock. "So everything, all the suffering, it was because of them?" He nodded. "Yes, but there is more. Your father left behind a will, a real one, registered 2 weeks before he died. It clearly stated that all his properties, shares, and family house were to belong to you, his only biological child. Mother Victoria was only listed as a guardian until your 18th birthday." Tears streamed down my cheeks as I whispered, "Oh, Papa." Dami leaned forward, his voice firm. "They never wanted you to know, but it's over now. I've sent copies of the original documents to my lawyer. Within a few days, we will file a case in court to restore your inheritance." For a moment, I couldn't speak. The same girl who once slept in the street now stood at the threshold of justice. 3 weeks later, we arrived at the High Court. Mother Victoria and Leda were already there, looking uneasy. When they saw me walk in beside Dami and his lawyer, they looked as if they had seen a ghost. The proceedings were swift, the evidence was overwhelming. The forged signatures, the bank transfer, even the fake lawyer's confession that he had been bribed to alter the documents. When the judge finally spoke, his words felt like thunder echoing through my soul. "This court hereby declares that Ms. Amara Obinna Okafor is the rightful heir to the estate and properties of late Chief Obila Okafor. All fraudulent transfer are null and void. The defendants, Madam Victoria and Miss Linda, are to vacate the premises immediately. Gaps filled the courtroom. Madam Victoria broke down, crying and begging, while Linda froze, pale and speechless. But I felt no hatred, only a quiet, indescribable peace. Outside the courthouse, Dami smiled at me and said, "It is done. Justice has spoken." I looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Lord." In the weeks that followed, I moved back into my father's house. My house, it no longer felt like a place of pain I once knew. Instead, it was a place of healing, a place of new beginning. I renamed the company Okafor Legacy Group, just as my father would have wanted, and established a foundation to help young girls who had faced abuse and rejection. Dana became one of my first staff members, managing the welfare department at Dami. He became more than a friend. His faith in me rekindled something deeper, something pure and beautiful. Months later, during the dedication of my foundation, an elegant woman walked in with tears in her eyes. When I turned and saw her, my heart stopped. It was Miss Clara, the kind stranger who once gave me her card at the market. We embraced tightly, both of us crying. Dami walked over, smiling, and said, "Mother, meet Amara, the woman whose courage has inspired me beyond words." I gasped, realizing the truth. Mrs. Clara was Dami's mother. Everything came full cycle that day. What began as pain ended in purpose. What was meant for destruction became the seed of my destiny. As I stood on the stage that evening looking at the smiley faces before me, I finally understood. Divine justice may take time, but when it comes, it restores everything and even more. I raised the microphone and said softly, "My name is Amara Okafor. I was once a girl who lost everything, but God gave me back more than I could ever imagine. And in that moment, I knew my story wasn't one of the tragic stories anymore. It was a story of grace, redemption, and the victory of light over cruelty." Life had come full cycle. Madam Victoria and Linda had been arrested and later released on bail. But Amara chose not to press further charges. Instead, she forgave them. When the authorities asked why, she simply said, "Because holding up onto pain won't heal the past. Only forgiveness can." Zainab, her loyal friend, now walked beside her as the manager of the new charitable foundation Amara had started, the Naomi's Light Foundation, named after her late mother. The foundation helped orphans and young girls who, like her, had been silenced by cruelty and neglect. One afternoon, as she sat by her father's grave with a flowers in her hand, she whispered, "Papa, I finally made it. I finally did it. I found the truth, and I didn't let hate destroy me." A tears rolled down her cheek. But this time, it wasn't from sorrow, it was from peace. That night, she stood before the mirror in her room, remembering the young, broken girl who once cried herself to sleep in a tiny corner of Madam Victoria's house. She smiled softly and said to her reflection, "Pain doesn't define you. What you do after the pain, that's what makes you who you are." As the moonlight shone through the window, Amara knelt by her bedside and whispered a prayer of gratitude. "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for turning my tears into testimonies, my sufferings into strength, and my rejection into redemption." Her voice was calm but filled with power. From that day on, Amara Okonkwo became more than a name. She became a symbol of hope. Her story spread across the city, inspiring countless others who had been forgotten or mistreated. And though her journey had been marked by betrayal, loss, and pain, she chose to close her story with forgiveness, faith, and purpose. Because sometimes God allows you to lose everything, not to punish you, but to rebuild you into something greater. Thank you so much for watching this story to this very end, guys. I really appreciate you for following up to this end. If you get to this end, it only means one thing, and it means that you enjoyed my story and you love it. Well, don't you think you would love to watch more of my stories? I mean, you can subscribe to my channel so that you can get notified and stay tuned whenever I upload a new stories. I bring you stories here every day. Please subscribe, and thank you so much as you do so. See you in my next story. Bye.